Because many men have went through this. Many men have seen the dark side of women, wife infidelity. It's tough. It's probably the toughest thing a man, a husband could go through within a marriage. You believe that it could never happen to you. I have a good girl. She would never do that to me. It's not her character. It's not within her makeup. I've said all those things before. Like I said, I've seen the dark side of this. And again, I'm going to give you my opinion of what I believe men should do when this happens to them. But before we get into that, guys, I found an amazing article by a relationship coach, Michelle Langley. And she's done about 20 years of research regarding women's infidelity. And for 10 years, she has coached men and women that are facing infidelity within their relationship when the woman has been the cause of it. And she's collected a lot of data on this throughout the years, and she's put together 4 stages of infidelity for women. And before we get into this conversation, I want to be sure that I'm clear. This is not a way to expose women. This is not a way to demean women or condemn women. This is a way to show in what ways can we improve in this area. This is more so about exposing truth. There are things that happen chemically with women, things that lead them to making decisions based on what they feel at the moment. You can look at the divorce rate. 80% of divorces are being filed by women. We are at a significant point in history where women are more liberated than they have ever been, but yet they're way more unhappy within their marriage. They voice their complaints. They make them known to anyone who would listen. What can we do to counter the attack of the enemy that he has on marriage? He knows what God can do within a marriage. He knows that the future depends on the nuclear family. He knows this. He knows the statistics that children raised from single parent homes are way far likely to end up in destitute situations, way more likely to end up in prison, way more likely to face child molestation. He knows this, so therefore he attacks marriage. So what can we do to combat what the enemy has set out to do to destroy our homes? We have to expose truth. Yes, men should definitely take ownership for what they do, but if women are filing for divorce at 80% and men are filing at 20%, I think it's the 80% we need to focus on primarily, because what has happened? What has changed? What is the thing that is leading our women down the path of saying, I don't need a husband? Not that they don't need men, because what these 4 stages will show us, women are chasing other men, not necessarily chasing their husband. Let's get right into it. Stage 1. Women at stage 1 feel as though something is missing in their lives. They have all the things that they wanted, a home, a family, a great husband, but they feel they should be happier. Over time, many women in this stage begin to lose interest in sex. It is not uncommon for them to spend a great deal of energy trying to avoid physical contact with their husbands because they fear it might lead to a sexual encounter. They frequently complain of physical ailments to avoid having sex and often try to avoid going to bed at the same time as their husbands. They view sex as a job, not unlike doing the dishes or going to the grocery store. Some women in stage 1 claim they feel violated when their husbands touch them. Their bodies freeze up and they feel tightness in their chests and or a sick feeling in their stomach. The majority of women in stage 1 feel as though there is something wrong with them, that they are in some way defective. They're also fearful that their disinterest in sex would cause their husbands to cheat or worse yet, leave them. Stage 2. Women at stage 2 experience reawakened desire stimulated by an encounter outside the marital relationship. Whether these encounters with a new man involve sex or remain platonic, women would typically give a tremendous amount of emotional significance to these encounters. Many women in this stage haven't felt any sexual desire for a long time. Many experience tremendous guilt and regret. Regardless of whether their new relationships are sexual, merely emotional, or both, most begin to experience what could be termed an identity crisis. Even those who try to put the experience behind them. Constant reminders are everywhere. They feel guilt when the topic of infidelity arises, whether in the media, in conversations with the family and friends, or at home with their husbands. Women in this stage can no longer express their prior disdain for infidelity without feeling like a hypocrite. They feel as though they have lost a part of themselves, reflecting society's belief that women are either good or bad. Women will question their good girl status and feel that they might not be deserving of their husbands. Many would try to overcome feelings of guilt by becoming more attentive toward and appreciative of their husbands. However, over time, many women will move from appreciation to justification. In order to justify their continued desire for other men, women will begin to attribute these desires to needs that are not being met in their marriage or to their husband's past behavior. Many women will become negative and sarcastic when speaking of their husbands and their marriages, and it is not uncommon for an extramarital affair to follow. Stage 3. Women at stage 3 are involved in affairs, ending affairs, or contemplating divorce. Women who are having affairs experience feelings unlike anything they have experienced before. They feel alive again, and many believe they have found their soulmates. These women are experiencing feelings associated with a chemically altered state, or what is typically referred to as being in love. These women are also typically in tremendous pain, the pain of choosing between their husbands and their new love interests. They typically believe that what they are doing is wrong and unfair to their husbands, but yet are unable to end their affairs. Many often try several times. Prior to meeting with their lovers, they will vow that it will be the last time, but they are unable to stick with their decisions. Unable to end their extramarital relationship, women at stage 3 conclude that their lovers are soulmates because they are unaware that they have become addicted to the high caused by chemicals released during the initial stages of a relationship. Many live in a state of limbo for years. Should I stay married or should I get divorced? This is the question continually on the minds of women at stage 3. It is also common for women at this stage to attempt to initiate separation. In most cases, husbands of women at stage 3 will launch futile attempts to make their wives happy by being more attentive, spending more time at home, and helping out around the house. Regardless of women's past and present complaints, the last thing women at stage 3 want is to spend more time with their husbands. The reason that many women would give for their desire to separate is a search for self. They convince their husband that they might be able to save their marriage if they can just have time to themselves. They tell their husband that the time apart is the only hope of improving their current situation. Women at this stage want to free themselves of the restrictions of marriage and spend more time with their lovers. Most think that eventually their confusion will disappear. They think they will eventually know with certainty whether they want to stay married or get divorced and be with their lovers. Separation allows women at this stage to enjoy the high they experience with their lovers without giving up the security of their marriages. Husbands of stage 3 women are often unaware that their wives are having affairs. Their lack of suspicion is typically due to their wives' disinterest in sex and their belief that their wife is a good girl. Women at stage 3 may also be experiencing the ending of an extramarital affair, and the ending may have not been their decision. They may have been involved with single men who either lost interest because the relationship could not progress, or who became attracted to another woman who was single. Women whose affairs are ending often experience extreme grief. They may become deeply depressed and express tremendous anger toward their husbands. They are typically unaware that they are experiencing chemical withdrawal due to sudden changes in their brain chemistry. As a result, many will feel that they have missed their chance at happiness due to their indecisiveness. Believing they have become more aware of what they want and need from a mate, women at this stage will often place their utmost importance on finding new relationship that will give them the feeling they experienced in their affairs. A new relationship with a new partner will also represent a clean slate, a chance for these women to regain their good girl status. Some women will search for new partners during their separation. Others will return to their marriages, but not emotionally, and still continue to search. Some women will resume sporadic sexual relations with their husbands in effort to safeguard their marriage until they make a decision. Although they are often not sexually attracted to their husbands, desire is temporarily rekindled when they suspect their husbands are unfaithful, are contemplating infidelity, or when their husband shows signs of moving on. Got to be honest with you guys, that one stings a little bit because that was my situation. I'll get into that here in just a second. Stage 4. The women in stage 4 include those who choose to stay married and continue their affairs, and those who choose to divorce. Some of the women who continued their affairs stated that marital sex was improved by maintaining the extramarital relationship. Some thought their lover was a soulmate, but for one reason or another did not leave their husband and did not feel torn between the two. Others realized that their feelings were intensified by not sharing day-to-day living arrangements with their lover. Almost all of the women in their latter category were having affairs with married men. They believed their affairs could continue infidelity without disrupting either partner's primary relationship. The women who chose divorce and were in the beginning stages of a new relationship typically expressed relief at having finally made a decision and reported feeling normal again. Many of the divorced women who had remarried and were several years into their new marriages seemed somewhat reluctant to talk about the specifics of their past experiences. However, they did mention feelings of guilt and regret for having hurt their children and ex-spouses, only to find themselves experiencing similar feelings in the new relationship. Now, guys, if you're interested, this lady here has a book, actually 2 books, called Women's Infidelity. She has part 1 and 2. If the books are anything like these stages that she just presented here, I think we all should take a look at it. How powerful was that breakdown? And I'm sure any man watching this, any woman watching this can say, man, that sounds familiar. Any woman can say, man, I was at one of those stages before. Any man listen to those stages can probably say, man, I've experienced it. I've been on the other end of that. I know I can. I experienced all 4 of those stages. Stage 3 was the most significant to me, I would say, because stage 3 is where I began to become aware of what was going on. And I began to experience so much rejection. And let me be clear here. My previous marriage was filled with infidelity on both ends. What these 4 stages reveal to us, when a woman's mind is made up to cheat on you, to step out on you, however you want to identify it as, she's going to do it. And the amount of measures they're willing to take to accomplish this is mind-boggling. In the grand scheme of a relationship, we know in most cases, and the way most people identify it in American society, that men and women cheating are exactly the same. But what these 4 stages clearly illuminate to me, and I would think it would do for you as well, is there is a big difference of men cheating and women cheating. Let's be honest, let's be frank. When men cheat, we just want a nut. Let's just call it what it is. We just want to ejaculate. We just want to release. But when women cheat, they want a whole new life. It's not just about the sex. It's creating a whole new life that helps them escape from their husband or escape from their kids. They're fed up with their current situation. Like I have said many times before, more often than not, they're bored. They're bored and they need some excitement. They need some drama. They need their heart rate to rise. They need something that's going to shake up some stuff, even if it means destroying the very thing that they love. As someone that has experienced infidelity in my previous marriage, what do I advise? Let me say this to you. A woman that's willing to go to these great lengths to cheat is a woman that will more than likely never show repentance. And if she ever says, I'm sorry, more than likely, she will blame you. There will be some sense of blame that she points towards you, saying if you didn't do what you did, then I wouldn't have been forced to do what I did. All in all, ignoring the fact that she did it because she was bored. All in all, ignoring the fact that she did it because she wanted something different. And she didn't cheat the same way that you cheated. She created a whole new life. So with a woman such as that, it's highly unlikely, if she's being that way, that she would ever repent to you, that she would ever seek restitution for you, that she would ever be willing to do what it takes to make up for what she did. And forget what Mel says. You should actually look at Matthew chapter 19, where you will see Jesus in a conversation with the Pharisees, and they're questioning him about divorce, about what Moses' law says about divorce. And of course, Jesus initially says it's for man and wife to stay together forever. What God has brought together, let no man ever separate. So they press Jesus a little bit and say, hey, if this is not right, if everyone should never get divorced, then why did Moses permit to give wives certificates of divorce? And Jesus replied to them saying, hey, Moses permitted this because their hearts were hard, but this is not the way it was supposed to be. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. So that is the one allowance, the sexual immorality aspect. But I will say, as my recommendation, definitely fight for your marriage and see what all you can do. Seek therapy, seek counsel, read the word of God, pray, speak to men that have experienced this thing as well. Get life coaching, whatever you think you may need for this situation. However, the number one thing you should see is change in your wife. The most significant thing to me in what this article showed us was stage 3, where a man or husband is looking to move forward. That's when all of a sudden the woman is interested. I told my story on this channel before. For 3 years, I played that game with my ex-wife. At least one time a year out of those 3 years, I would find my way ready to move forward with someone else. And all of a sudden, like she had a spider sense, she'd be ready to reconcile. And the moment I cave in to her, she move on again with another guy. So I finally decided, hey, I'm tired of being rejected. I'm not going to face this anymore. It's time to move on. And I chose to move forward. If I had to answer that question, should a man take a woman back? Is it possible to move forward after a woman has committed adultery? I would have to say no to both questions. I don't believe that's something you can come back from. It's too much damage. The length that women are willing to go through, and 2, to achieve infidelity, to achieve their personal happiness, to achieve no longer being bored. That's what makes it different. And that's why I believe Judge Lynn Toller said this.
If my husband were to ever have cheated, I don't think I would have left. We would have had issues. We would have gone to a counselor. But I can't let. Now, if he's just a repeater, just a traveler, he's just screwing everything that happens to walk by, right, he got to go bye-bye.
Right.
But he makes a mistake, I would hope that I was woman enough to weigh it. Not say it's okay, but get through it. When the situation is reversed, y'all never get over it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just how y'all are. But y'all never get over it. And I know that. So I don't do nothing. You know what I mean? I don't care how fine you are or whatever, and I'm away from him for months. I got something so good. Ain't no sex. I don't care how you can rock it.
It's easier for a woman to take a man back. And I understand we are in this revenge era where women believe they are as good or better than men in most areas. And because women view themselves as good or better, they believe they can do everything a man can do. But my sister, you can't. There's no way that you can have many sexual partners without attachment. You were not designed that way. If you're a man, listen to this. I ask you to evaluate what's best for you in this situation. I understand the propensity as a man to want to rescue. It's in our nature to want to rescue our wives, want to rescue our children, our family around us. But do you see true repentance? Do you see efforts on top of efforts on top of efforts to make things right? Are you seeing similar behaviors than what you saw before? If you're not seeing any change, it's time for you to change. And to any wife watching this, if you know that you are in one of these stages, especially stage 3 and 4, I recommend you let your husband go. Not a separation, not a pause, not a break. Let him know exactly why you're letting them go. Because all you're doing is creating damage wherever you go. You're also putting yourself, your husband, your kids, and any man that potentially is involved, you're putting them in grave danger. The truth always comes to the light. And at some point, everyone will meet up and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I do pray that this message has been encouraging. This video reaches someone right where you are. Hope it hits you right where you are, and that the Lord is speaking to you through this message. Take care.
Let's go.